Hello then, so it's time for another transfer roundup. It's gone a little bit quiet because, well, teams are starting to get in that little midway point where the early moves have been made, and now we're looking at, teams waiting out for contenders and stuff like that. Although we do have some rumoured moves, but we won't be going through that in this video. But in this one, obviously, we're going to go through all the regions. I'm going to set up a little differently since the channel revamp. We're going to divide this up into regions. So, in future, this will be divided up into Australia, Pacific, China, Korea, Europe, and then North America, and then on the end we'll have the Overwatch League as its own region. So I won't divide the Overwatch League regions up into Asia or NA if that's the route they go down in 2021, but that's where we're going at. So we're going to do that in this video. We are going to start off in the Chinese region where we see one movement. This is the Korean tank player Ritz leaving Team Cat. He will be retiring from Overwatch. I wish him all the best in his future endeavours. Team Cat, I don't think did all that well in the Chinese contenders. But I wish him all the best going forward. Then we move over to Korea, and we see only two moves. Actually, this is both at T1. T1, they had a very good season, and then they fell pretty badly in the playoffs against Runaway, where they got completely slapped by Runaway. They really, really did. So they're getting rid of their two Korean coaches. This is Arhan and Sand. They will be leaving T1 and they will be looking for new teams. And I wish them all the best in that search. And then we move over to Europe where we see most of our moves in this video. So we're going to start off at Avoided. Avoided, this was prior to the playoffs for Europe for October. This was two moves into Avoided. This was the Dutch support player Ange and the Danish tank player Doge. They both came in previously assigned to Avoided to help them out with that playoff run, and we will probably be talking about Avoided a little bit later in this. And then we have a new coach in at the Angry Titans. This is a new head coach. This is the French coach Buell. Again, this didn't have too much of the effect for the Titans because the Angry Titans, I should say, because I don't want to get mixed up with Vancouver. Because basically Angry Titans didn't do very well in European Contenders for October. So they're still struggling, Angry Titans, and we will remain to see if they can get back to their old ways. But it's still a long road to go for the Angry Titans before we see them back on top. Right, now we have to talk about a different team. This is a team called Caspian. This is a new team in the European region. They will be bringing in, first of all, they will be bringing in an Iranian DPS player from Hostile Takeover. This is Braven. He'll be coming in to this team, to Caspian, and then they're going to sign up the rest of them are going to be unassigned. So, this is the Danish manager Oxy, the Malaysian manager Tropocolo, wow, the Danish support Doggo, the French support Starboy, the Danish tank player Weku, or Weku, I honestly don't know. French tank Task, the British tank Jaru, the Swedish DPS player Love, and the Norwegian DPS player Ido. That's a lot of different nationalities in one team. I presume they can all speak English, because that is probably one of the biggest mixed nationality rosters I've seen in a long time, including managers as well. I mean, we've got a lot of different nationalities in there: Malaysia, Denmark, France, Britain, Sweden, Norway, and Iran. That's 7 nationalities in one team. That's pretty pog. I'm not going to lie, and that's going to be interesting to see how that one works out. Then we move over to them again, actually, and this was after the fact, a day later, where they let go of the Swedish DPS player Love. So, okay, I guess it didn't work out for Love at Caspian, so I wish him all the best for going forward, looking for a team. He will be now unassigned. Next up, we have Ad Astara per Espera. This will be them letting go of 2 people. This is the American coach Green Havoc and the Dutch DPS player Emperor. They will be leaving and will be no longer assigned. And then coming in to Ad Astra per Espera will be the Romanian DPS player Cucubeu, who will be turning out for them now. And I wish them all the best going into trials for November, I want to say. I'm not sure whether they're in open division. I think they're in trials. I'm hoping they're in trials. So then we have another more moves avoided. This is after, I believe, they left, or not left, but they got knocked out of European Contenders for October. This, I never know how to say this guy's name. But this is the Saudi Arabian DPS player Yanza, or Yazna? Nazar? I honestly don't know. You can see on the screen though. So this is him leaving Avoided. He will no longer be assigned. He was okay. I did see some of his play. He was okay, but it's clearly not worked out for him. Then we have at the Angry Titans, them letting go of the French support player Barotz. He will no longer be assigned, and also back at Avoided, Doge, the Danish tank player, will be leaving as well. So one of those players that they brought in at the start of us talking about Europe has gone already. It's what happens in Contenders. There's a very high turnover sometimes. Sometimes players don't work out when they're out the next day, you know. It's just it can happen like that. It can happen like that. Anyway, moving over to North America, which is less chunky than Europe, shall we say. We have a bunch of moves. This is 2 moves. First of all, at Revival. This is them bringing in the Danish tank player Duns from the Ultimates in Europe. So he'll be playing on ping for Revival at the moment. But I wish him all the best going into this. And Revival are actually doing pretty well in North America from what I've seen with their current roster. So that's pretty good. Revival have been through some tough times, but they seem to be bouncing back. Then we have the American DPS player Chopper. He was unassigned, but he is coming into Revival. Again, I wish him all the best. I think Revival are starting to stumble upon a roster that is working for them, which is good news. It has been a long while since that kind of sort of mix up with signing. I can't remember which team they signed, but they brought out a team. I know they brought out a roster. It was after Aspen left and went to Team Doge. Team Doge, remember them? Yes, they're still existing, just not in Contenders right now. They pulled out. Anyway, getting off on a tangent, we're over at Noble now, where we see them let go of the Korean tank player Soko and the American DPS player Wannabe. They will both be unassigned going forward. I wish them all the best in their search for new teams, but to replace them, they are bringing in the American tank player Mikey. Remember, he was at Boston Uprising, and now he's back in Contenders with Noble, trying to prove his worth again. And then we have also the Mexican DPS player Marcel, who will be coming in to Noble. And again, I wish them all the best going forward. Noble have done pretty decently again, I think, in October of NA, which I think is great for them. Then we have, lastly in NA, in a movement at the Uprising Academy. This is them signing the British tank player Jakaru 19. He was previously unassigned before this, and I wish them all the best with him in the tank role. And I hope he really stars for that Uprising team, because at the moment Uprising Academy aren't really. When we look at the academy teams for Overwatch League teams, we very often think of Team CC, who dominate China. They are the academy team of Shanghai, and we look at British Hurricane, who are obviously the academy of London Spitfire, who are dominating EU unprecedentedly. And Uprising Academy, I'm sure they want to be in that position, but they're not right there, and they're currently struggling in trials, so they need to do something. Anyway, back to the Overwatch League to round us out, and we have 2 retirements to start us off. We talked about Pavane in another video, but we're going to talk about Pavane again. This is him obviously announcing his retirement after leaving London Spitfire. It's a loss. He was a great coach for NYXL, and he didn't have the best times at London, but he was assistant coach under Agape, and we'll be talking about Agape again in a minute as well. I wish him all the best in his future endeavours, in whatever he decides to do. Also, sticking with London Spitfire, Jihun, the backup main tank that London Spitfire had. He was known as sort of a ball one trick, but I think his Arisa was actually pretty good. He looked better than JMac when we saw him on Arisa against Hangzhou Spark, where London rolled Hangzhou Spark 3-0 at one point. But he is retiring as well, which is actually, that's really sad to see, because he is a player that, you know, he didn't get a long run at being main tank for London Spitfire. It was always defaulted back to JMac, which, you know, you can always argue about. But he hasn't dropped back down to Contenders, which is a surprise to me. He's not going to get a shot back at trying to get back into the league. He's just going to straight up retire, and I wish him all the best going forward. Right, 2 moves at the San Francisco shot. We've talked about these in another video. This is Caceres moving from the analyst role to the assistant coach role. Again, I think this is a brilliant move. Caceres was with the Young and Beautiful in EU, but he's a great coach, and I wish him all the best. Then Agape, the ex-London coach, the ex-championship winning coach, coming in as assistant coach under Krusty at the San Francisco Shock as well, which I think is setting up the San Francisco Shock to have a great coaching line going into 2021 once again. Then we have the moves at Dallas. We again covered this in the video. This is Fielder coming in, obviously from Paris, although it says not assigned on these lists. He was with Paris. He just left earlier. And then Repel moving from the Houston Outlaws to the Dallas Fuel. Again, great picks up for the Fuel. We haven't heard too much from the Fuel since, although we are going to be looking at that one in a minute. But yeah, the rest are coaching and general manager changes. So Ty Dollar is coming in as an assistant coach for the Los Angeles Gladiators. Good pickup. Honestly, great pickup for the Gladiators. And I think the Gladiators, if the rumors are to be believed, the Gladiators are shaping up to be a good team in 2021. So keep an eye out on the purple side of LA. Then we have Hokuri coming in as the personal coach at the Washington Justice. He was general manager at the Seoul Dynasty in 2020, so I think that's a great pickup of the Washington Justice. And again, that's another team that are making the better moves than I expected them to after we saw the contract status 2021 thing that was up on the Overwatch League website. It seems to be more promising for Washington Justice than it was. Them being able to keep hold of decay, etc. is very good news for Washington Justice fans. Then we're back at Dallas Fuel for the last time today. This is them signing up the coach aide. Again, another one that was at Paris Eternal. It's no surprise. I think this is just basically Rush transporting a lot of his goods from Paris Eternal to Dallas Fuel. And I'm going to be interested to see Dallas Fuel. I think two teams that have impressed me so far in this offseason, Dallas Fuel and Los Angeles Gladiators right now. Gladiators are looking like they're making some good moves. Also, a good move is the new head coach at the Guangzhou Charge. This is Arachne. So this is the guy that left the San Francisco Shock as assistant coach to go and head coach Guangzhou Charge. Big move. Great new head coach at the Charge. Another crusty influenced head coach as well. So Guangzhou Charge, it'll be interesting to see what players they pick up. There are a lot of rumors going around right now. There's a lot of rumors that Mano is leaving the New York Excelsior. There's a lot of rumors that Moss could be joining up at the Los Angeles Gladiators. So there's some rumors flying around at the moment, nothing confirmed. But if that does happen, then we're looking at some very interesting changes to teams going forward. And then lastly, we're going to leave off with Bisha. I know her actual name, but I can't remember what it is. Moving from Director of Operations to General Manager at the Los Angeles Gladiators. I wish them all the best in that new role. And that rounds us out for this transfer roundup. It's been an interesting one. I hope you like the new format with it divided up into regions. We could also timestamp this. I don't see why not. And then I think this just makes the video more structured and we're not jumping from region to region and jumping all over the world. And I will endeavour to keep it in this format going forward. But I'm going to leave it here for this one. Obviously, if any news comes up with the Overwatch League, I will get on it as soon as possible and get a video to you as soon as possible. But for now, thank you guys so much for this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.